Καλησπέρα. Καταρχήν θέλω να ευχαριστήσω την εταιρεία SALFO για την ευκαιρία που μας δίνει για αυτή την...
First of all, I would like to thank SALFO for the opportunity they have given us to participate in this conference. It is very important, and I confess that as I was preparing for this presentation, we were considering what we should answer to the question about energy efficiency and funding, and how they relate with seismic evaluation. At the beginning, it was said that many steps were made in the last 5 years. Many steps were taken in the last 5 years. It is important to say that there's been some projects that are trying to be completed. They have been trying for 7 years now. And I'm talking about Electra, a program which started 7 years ago and has not managed to proceed. Why? Because Electra had to deal with an issue of funding and actually third-party financing in energy-saving projects, especially through the European Investment Bank. So when we are talking about third-party financing, third-party funding, two important factors need to be taken into consideration. First of all, the performance of the measures. Energy efficiency is important. What will happen in the 10-15 years, in the next 10 or 15 years, and then the performance of the project itself. I heard the presentation about Samos. I heard you saying something about that. And I think that schools were supposed to be part of this project, Electra. If the school in Samos had been completed not with a grant but with Electra, with the participation of the European Investment Bank, if this had happened, what would be the fate of this school? All these years in Greece, foreign companies that have already completed many public projects abroad cannot invest and finance projects in Greece. Why? Because these constructions have a specific way of being performed, and we need to think about the near future, the next 10 and 15 years when we make them. Especially in an earthquake-prone country like Greece, which is also a country full of islands. How could we do all this when the quality of construction is what we need, especially in the next 10 years? How can they finance a project with a risk analysis for the next 10 or 15 years when other things need to be taken into consideration as well? For instance, the climate change, the level of temperatures in the near future, how we will use them in the models, and then we need to decide what kind of quality this construction should have in order to be able to resist in any issue in the next 10 or 15 years. So, We are talking about public projects which are performed through grants. This is a very usual thing in Greece, and we have a specific track to follow. But if we need to do something with third-party funding, then that's a different story. I've been trying to follow what is happening in this field in order to be able to understand if we can do something in the future in Greece. In Greece in general, there is confusion as regards what energy efficiency involves. If one wants to make a thermal insulation, for example, in order for this to be operational in terms of economic models, it is very difficult because if we take the views of people who are more specialists than I am, one of the things that we need to do is to take into consideration seismic considerations, etc. And this will make the project even more costly. Then, if the cost is higher, financing becomes even more difficult. So you understand what the fate of these projects will be. That's why I'm saying that this project is very interesting for us. We've been following it since we were informed about it. We are waiting for the conclusions because we will have to take these conclusions and try to implement them in the private sector, because the private sector is different. This is the next day. We're already there. We have to have that in mind, because energy efficiency and seismic protection need to be combined with other certifications. For LEED, it's the well certification, for instance. The materials used for the project are important as well, because the whole approach that needs to be taken has to be holistic in order to have real energy savings and have an energy efficiency that resists in time and reduces risks. Thank you very much.